Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running and nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and I hope all of you are having a great day because, well, first of all, it's Friday. Who can complain? And second of all, well, we have a great show planned for you where the entire program today, we will be joined by none other than Nathan Evans of Popzara magazine. And hey, this is always a fun segment for us as we have tons of great articles and things to talk about. And, you know, we're just going to get into some fun stuff. It's, too often here we talk about a lot of businessy / depressing kind of news. And, I think we do a pretty good job here of keeping it pretty light, so it's going to be fun. So with that being said, a couple of things to mention, including computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything from the show notes. So any articles, videos that we mentioned here on the program today, you can find in the show notes in one convenient spot. Let's see, while you're there, also be sure to check out the social media contest brought to you by Logitech. And be sure to check out the live video stream brought to you by OWC. So all that and more at Computer America. And we'll go ahead and just jump right into this and bring on our guest because, as you know, hey, anyone who has been here before to hear from Nathan Evans knows that, well, we never seem to get to every topic that we have planned. So the more time, the merrier. And Nathan, welcome back onto Computer America. How you doing? And thanks for coming on.
Hey, Ben. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Our cup runneth over with goodness. So
yeah.
So are we allowed to say are we in the future or are we in the past right now? How is this?
We are in the past, but I guess people didn't know that until just now. But yeah, some things are shifted around. And hi.
So that's technology. So Ben, I just want to say welcome back and happy Friday and happy Memorial Day weekend. By the way.
Yeah.
So extra super vacation. So Ben, you said I sound okay. I just want to clarify for the audience who's used to hearing me in super HD and the sexiness, and I know turn down your bass, but the fact is I'm on a new rig today. Can you believe it?
Yeah, you mentioned that. I'm still in suspense about what the new rig could be because you do sound of course very there, a lot better than some of our guests that join us here on the show. What's changed? First of all, why change? What change?
Well, because I can. And because this is a tech show, and we should be changing every day. Every single show you record, you should be on a new combination of operating system, headset, platform. I mean, you should be using like a blue microphone with a Linux-based, Android box every day, Ben.
I was about to say that sounds like a Linux show. Come on every day with a new operating system.
They're holding on to the dream. So. No, so basically, to answer your question, I've been on the show before. People know I'm bi-computeral. I use Mac and PC, and today I'm back to the Mac. And it's not necessarily a choice. It's sort of the Mac was thrust upon me, and I want to give all your listeners a little FYI, a little tidbit. So, long story short, if you own a MacBook from 2014 to present, and you've ever thought, I want to upgrade, I want to get something new, go this weekend, because it turns out Apple and Best Buy are sort of suctioning in like Thanos. They're suctioning in all the miscellany of MacBooks out there, like a giant. Like I don't know if you saw the story, not to segue, but apparently there's this new theory that Pluto was caused by like the vacuum of a billion comets. Well, that's what kind of Best Buy and Apple are doing. They're sucking in all the old MacBooks so they can collect them and then just spew them out to graduates. So I didn't expect this, but apparently my 2014 MacBook was worth a lot of money, like for trade-in.
Yeah.
And I went in there with an open mind and said, you know what? I'm a little curious. I want to dabble in PC land. And I heard great things about Dells and HPs, like the Spectres and the XPSs and all this.
Right.
And, my growing consternation with Apple products. But it turns out that the trade-in value was enormous. And with price matching at Best Buy, I was able to turn a 2014 MacBook Pro into a 2018 MacBook Pro for very little money. And yeah, which is really sad because basically it's the same basic specs, the low end.
Yeah.
You can't, it's a Mac, so you can't customize it, right? It's not Burger King, folks. But yeah, overall, it's a much better machine. It's still kind of boring, but when you're in this business, I'll take boring.
But I mean that's something about Macs that you don't really hear, because we have everything from business to consumer side on the show here, and on the business side, when they sell either schools or organizations or companies or government facility, whatever, when they say, would you like to buy PCs or Macs, they go, well, how much is a PC? And they're like, well, you can get like a Chromebook, which isn't really a PC, but you can get like a Chromebook for
friends don't let friends do Chromebook for school. Sorry.
Right. But I'm talking about like the organization that then gives them out to the students and stuff. Like they say Chromebooks are a lot cheaper, and it's like, all right, but why would we go with Mac? They're like 5 times as expensive. And they're like, it's because after 2 years, you have to throw away all your Chromebooks. But after 2 years with a Mac, you can sell back your Mac and actually get some money back. And
yeah, exactly.
Macs just kind of hold their resale value. That's something that's a little wonky with tech.
They almost appreciate depending on which Mac you have. Like I didn't realize that.
And it's real quick. I mean, Craig has a 2012, I think, iMac, and like the 27-inch iMac, like all the bells and whistles, paid way too much for it. But at the same time, if you wanted to trade it in, I've checked because we're thinking about upgrading him, and that stupid thing is still worth like $1,500 trade in. Like the guts are essentially useless at this point, but the body and the Mac styling, that holds incredible value.
It's incredible. Like I don't want to say too much about it, but like I had a 2012 Mac Mini, which was the last upgradable one, and I'll just say I flipped it on eBay, and I was shocked. I actually got more money than I paid for it. I'm surprised that Apple just doesn't go full like Lexus and just lease computers. If you think about it, like what a concept that would be, because like you said, the trading value is good, but just skip the middleman and just start leasing. And before you say anything,
I'm sorry. You said before you say anything. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say. I was going to say I would have been skeptical of saying that, but I've been proven wrong with subscription-based music. Like the music platforms have done much better than downloads. Subscription-based Adobe products. Microsoft makes bank off Office 365. Like apparently people like the leasing community. They like not owning things. And just ask MC Hammer the foibles of owning cars, So if Apple, if you're going to become a fashion auto industry, then just hell, go for it. Full throttle.
If large mega companies are listening, honestly, we already lease our phones from cell carriers, and I know that it's may not be completely within their realm, but being able to lease a computer, maybe from like a Best Buy or like a retailer, but being able to lease a computer maybe through a cell phone carrier who you're already buying essentially a computer from, maybe something like that. But that's a very interesting idea. But it's also that idea that I said earlier that's like Apple is the odd child out. Like all other tech, Chromebook, Dells, HPs, like anything PC really, they don't go up in value, so it's harder to kind of resell them.
They're going to have to consider different alternatives, because the fact of the matter is that the dedicated PC market is depleting, and it's shrinking every year. It's rendering into obsolescence, and if this keeps up, then we may have an ironic situation where the company that technically sells the least amount of computers, which would be Apple, I mean, on paper they sell the least. They're technically still the best-selling computer manufacturer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an iPhone situation where iOS would have like 15% of the market share, but they still overwhelmingly dominate the market, both in profit, revenue, and just one, single database, user base.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's crazy. I think we're going to have to see innovative companies come in and realize that the old method is no longer applies.
They and like I was mentioning earlier, they already do that for kind of a corporate setting or a business setting that you have to manage hundreds or dozens of devices. So
Dell, man, Dell makes pretty much all their money in the business sector. Like there's a reason why Michael Dell's company went from public to private, and they've done better than ever.
It's so unfortunate because so many great, I guess it would depend on if you find them great. Think IBM, for instance. They went completely business to business sector, and they've never made more money. And we just did a couple articles, and we're going to get into different articles. But I wanted to bring one up to you, which was the idea that Amazon, not that they're sending recordings to wrong people. That was silly.
Shocking, I know.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it in just a minute. But another one was the fact that Amazon is selling its facial recognition technology to law enforcement, and you could pair that up with Google working with military contracts on their drones. I'm sure Apple has a couple contracts of their own. Like, it's all these private, all these normally consumer-facing companies making lucrative contracts with governments or military.
For your younger listeners who are younger than the age of 60, okay. I want to point them to the classic. I believe it was President Eisenhower who basically called it the military-industrial complex. And for those of you who don't think, for those who think that Kim Kardashian and the various pop stars run the world, no, it's bombs and missiles. And pretty much every piece of technology that you and I enjoy today comes from the military in some facet, whereas even NASA would be considered, part of the military. Like everything from Tang to GPS to the internet to facial recognition to data mining, everything comes from the military. It's trickle down, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, the funding needs to come from somewhere. I mean, it's interesting stuff. That's all I have to say. Yeah. It's interesting.
All right, yeah. So anyway, there's that. Let's go ahead and get into some of our topics for today. Because time is flying by, sinking through our hands. Let's go ahead and start with this one. Now, this is a game, and I'm glad that you bring up Fortnite. You're probably the first person on the show since Fortnite had its meteoric rise that... is that even a phrase? Meteoric downfall?
No, I actually think we might have to redefine the phrase. This is, let's just say Fortnite is the single biggest game since Pokemon Go. Can we say that?
Yeah. It's in terms of a game that with its viral. No, actually, I would put it on par with Minecraft, and that's hard to say because Minecraft was insanely popular, and every month over month, you're like, wow, how is this still the #1 seller? Over and over and over and over again. Like, I would say Fortnite is the next Minecraft, where it really captured such a large segment of the gaming industry that its influence, like not just in what people want to see, but in current and future development of games, we're already seeing games that have been around for a decade, think Call of Duty, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're coming out with a battle royale, which you had like things like PUBG and H1Z1 and these other games, but they were niche, kind of niche games. Fortnite made it popular.
You're very accurate to say that, and I think this is interesting. This is why we're professionals. This is why we get paid the big bucks, which we
since when? Where'd those go?
Just to quote Zangief in the Street Fighter II movie in 1994, "You get paid." No, so. But no, the truth is, here's what you need to understand, and I think you do because we've talked about this. So for those who don't know, the day job, the Popzara site, we're chummy with a company called the NPD Group, and we're chummier with the man who spreads the numbers out and talks about the health of the video game industry. His name's Matt Piscatella, very nice guy. Mm-hmm. Hopefully the team's going to meet him next month. We'll talk about that.
Cool.
But we've talked about this before, and the truth is, when you see news stories about like the best-selling games and everything, you won't see Fortnite on that list. Like, you'll see the best-selling game is whatever it is of the month. I forget.
God of War.
God of War. God of War makes this pennies compared to Fortnite. And the reason Fortnite's not on those lists, Ben, is because you don't buy it. It's a free game, and you can get it on your mobile. You can get it on your by the way, just like Minecraft. By the way, the game really exploded when it hit mobile.
Yeah.
And it was already big before on desktop, but when it hit mobile, boom. That's when schools started suspending people for bringing Fortnite on their iPhones. But the fact of the matter is that the game generates a lot of money because it does three basic things very, very well. First of all, it's a good game. It's well made. It's by a really reputable company called Epic Games, who once upon a time were known for things like Gears of War, but very different team. Mm-hmm. Second, it runs really, really well. And three, it monetizes itself in a way that doesn't feel like, you've been Harvey Weinstein, I'll say. And so what that means is that
wow.
it's able to generate a lot of money. By the way, too soon. I think he turned himself in. He's going to jail this weekend, right? As we speak right now. I think he's being processed in New York, so go look it up. Yeah. But yeah, that's what we call in the business, boys and girls, timing. Very good timing. So, but anyway, Fortnite makes a ton of money. Fortnite makes a ton of money. Tons and tons of money.
It's one of those games that's we're currently live streaming this to Twitch. Twitch is kind of one of those platforms that it's totally biased because one platform is not the gaming industry as a whole, but I will say just as far as Twitch goes, which is a decently large platform, the amount League of Legends was the game because it was free to play and anyone could jump right into it and it had a massive audience. And I thought, wow, League of Legends is not, maybe for a weekend, it'll fall to the newest, latest, greatest game, but then it'll always rebound back to number one. Fortnite has taken it so handedly. It is shocking. The amount of interest, not just in playing the game, but in even seeing the game, that's something that I haven't seen.
Yeah, it's also well supported. I think they just revealed this week that they're going. The parent company Epic's going to contribute $100 million towards prizes, and it does this without loot boxes. It does this without necessarily scamming, and it's very inclusive. And I'll be honest with you, I've never touched the game. I don't touch these things because I don't touch these things. The reason I don't touch crack.
That's how it's popular, is that I have actually played it. And normally I'm not really into first person shooters. I'm not really into kind of free to play kind of deal. But I played it, and I think it's because of, and there's a whole business back end to this, but it used to be a paid game. It used to be kind of a tower defense. I believe Corey was talking about when he reviewed it the first time, and he was like, yeah, it's a fun game. But at the minute it went free to play, battle royale, completely ripped, or didn't completely, but mostly ripped off PlayerUnknown's Battleground, but gave it a little twist. The paid model was it had its 3 hours, and then when it went free to play and this battle royale, kind of everyone come on in, then it exploded, and then it became this juggernaut, which is weird. You think that how is a game that, like you said, it doesn't have loot boxes and it's not going to pay you, make you pay at the upfront, how is that going to make money? And it's been making a lot of money.
Well, it's funny. It's and people think it's, if I can just do, this is, again, I've called it Warren Buffett's law, right? First come the innovators and the imitators and the idiots. What's really interesting about this is the parent company Epic Games, and of course you probably know Epic from their famous Unreal Engine, but one of the guys that helped create the company, his name was Cliff Berninski, otherwise known as Cliffy B. Mm-hmm. He left the company a while ago, and even he tried to make a clone, and it failed. I forget what it's called, Lawbreakers or whatever, some version of it. Are
you talking about, because there've been a couple, Lawbreakers I think was the one that
but that was made by the guy from Epic Games when he left, right?
Right.
So this is not the same Epic Games that made Gears of War, it's some of the team. So even the progenitors can't easily clone. So there's something unique about the formula, and I just want to comment real quick because I know you're an Xbox guy. So this week, Microsoft released the console-exclusive version of a zombie survival game called State of Decay 2. Mm-hmm. And good news, if you have an Xbox and you have the Game Pass, is that you get to play it. I don't want to use the word for free, but you don't have to pay extra for it.
Right.
That's a exclusive game for the Xbox platform. What's interesting is that Microsoft released their Xbox One X last year. This super powerful, very, very robust 4K capable game machine. But all the marquee games for this platform, Ben, have all been, I hate to say it, ruddy-looking survival games like PUBG or State of Decay or, I hate to say, Fortnite, like games that you can literally run on an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
And run well. So the market has shifted. The market has shifted away from 4K spectacle to these cooperative games. You mentioned Call of Duty. For better or for worse, the new Call of Duty game coming out will not have a campaign. It'll just have this type of battle royale thing.
I'm shocked it took them this long. I have played maybe 6-7 iterations of Call of Duty, going all the way back to, some of the original ones. And
it's a miscalculation, I'll tell you that.
You think so? I have never played a campaign. I don't give two figs about the campaign.
Well, the thing about it though is that's like saying we call this the cake scenario, and I'll explain to you. So
give me a pile of icing. Give me all the icing. Forget the cake. All the icing. That's what I want.
Let me tell you what it is. So every couple of years, the industry goes through this fad where they say, "Oh, nobody plays the campaign, right? Nobody plays the campaign. Nobody plays the campaign. So we'll get rid of the campaign." It's happened. You could document this every 5 or 10 years, and then eventually say, "Oops, the campaign needs to come back." And they put out this press release saying that less than 10% of people actually finish the campaign. So because less than 10% don't want it, we'll throw it away. Okay, this is Call of Duty's hiccup. They're going to go through this cycle. It's notable, that the just announced Battlefield 5 will in fact have a very robust campaign. So I will say this: it's the cake theory. So you're making a cake, and you're like, "I need a cake. I'm going to bake a cake. Do I have the ingredients?" And then you find out you don't have an egg, right? You don't have an egg. Oh, we don't need an egg. So you leave out the egg. The cake comes out. It looks kind of like a cake, kind of tastes like cake, but there's something not there. And what that is what the French call je ne sais quoi. That's certain something. And the idea that just because you don't readily do it doesn't necessarily mean it's not important to the cake. And so while you may not play the campaign yourself, what that campaign does is it inadvertently brings a lot of attention to both the development teams. It brings a lot of attention to, it helps advance graphics, because let's be honest, Call of Duty games are always industry bleeding. And so it does a lot of things that have a residual effect. Just because you don't pay attention to the space race doesn't mean you can't enjoy Tang, right? So this will be something that they will go through. They'll go through the growing pain. Sales will decrease, and they're going to wonder why it happened. Because when you are the biggest money-making game in the world, like Call of Duty, and you've been reduced to following trends for free mobile games, let's see how that works out.
I mean,
let's see when that's ever worked out.
But this is, and trust me, folks, this does tie back into Fortnite. What Call of Duty announced at their little presser was that they're gonna have multiplayer as usual, because that that seems to be their longer lasting. Like even if people do play the campaign, I've never seen anyone say, "Oh yeah, I've spent 800 hours on the campaign." That just doesn't happen.
But you don't need to. The campaign is there as an option.
Right. But my point is that so the campaign's gone, but they aren't just releasing multiplayer. They also have a Battle Royale-esque alternative where you buy the game, you can play the Battle Royale. It's 100 people, you can use vehicles, it's Call of Duty, but in a Battle Royale Fortnite-esque situation. But of course, with all the covers that you expect from Call of Duty.
Let me ask you a question: how much does a Call of Duty game cost when it comes out?
Lately it's been like 60 plus another 10, 15 for a battle pass or something like that. So about $70.
The base game is $60 plus tax, right?
Yeah.
That has gotten you a fully fledged, huge AAA blockbuster budget campaign, usually with Hollywood stars like everyone from Kevin Spacey to Chris Maloney to the Kit Harington from Game of Thrones. They've put a lot of money in these campaigns, a lot of money.
Right.
So, how much does Fortnite cost out of the box?
Fortnite, it's
Zero.
It's free. Yeah, right.
So now that Activision is removing the campaign, are they going to remove some of the price? Of course not. Of course not.
Oh, that's funny.
Of course not. This is the problem, and there's a precedent for that with the series. A couple of years ago, when there was a transition between PS3 and Xbox 360 to PS4 and Xbox One, the PS3 and Xbox 360 did get versions of a new Call of Duty, but they chopped out the campaign. But they also chopped off $20 off the price. Do you think that Activision is going to chop the price off? Because since they're mimicking the freemium model of Fortnite, do you think they're going to mimic the freemium pricing? I don't think so. See, this is the problem that they have. You can't turn a paid Blockbuster game into a freemium style game without the freemium price. And I think there's going to be a backlash. I really do. I think those of us who do enjoy the campaign, we are a small minority, I admit. But I again, this is cylindrical, cyclical. Excuse me. It will come back. And I'll have my campaign back in like 2 years.
I have no doubt that this is a trend. This is a trend. Like I said, Fortnite is having very far-reaching effects. They just just real quick. I mean, they just released the teaser trailer for Battlefield 5, I think is what it's called. And people were complaining, and we're not going to get into the social justice side of it. But
by the way, total BS. Nobody complained. It was like 3 people on Twitter, the usual 3 people, and I won't even justify their complaints with a comment. It was stupid.
And also some people
shame on you, Kotaku.
And also some people on Reddit.
Shame on you.
And also some people on Reddit.
Oh,
but
really, do they enjoy eating noodles in China?
Maybe, but I will say one thing that did kind of show with that was, and I can only blame kind of Fortnite for this, is that it looked kind of like Fortnite. It looked kind of cartoony. It was brighter colors. It was much more graphic, I'll admit, which is kind of cool. But it was it had a lot of elements of Fortnite baked into it. I think Fortnite, because it is so dominant right now, and we're talking not just Epic Games making $300 million. If you look up games that are trending on YouTube, if you look up who's watching live streams, who's what kids 8 to 12 are playing, everyone is on Fortnite, and everyone is trying to capture some of what Fortnite is doing right. Of course. And in some cases, people like you, people like poor Nathan Evans, are going to be the casualty who lose their campaign in favor of a battle royale.
Oh, no. Let me put it this way. Like a certain stretch of sand in a certain part of the world, I can bide my time, and I'll reclaim the Holy Land. I'll just say this, Ben. At some point, my campaign will come back, and I'll enjoy it when it comes back, and I'll enjoy the fact that a company thought enough of me to spend $500 million in developing this giant campaign. And by the way, people like campaigns. People like online too. They like campaigns, but there's room for both. Otherwise it's just a bunch of cutscenes.
I have no doubt that if you wait, I say 6 months, they'll come out with the DLC that is your campaign, and you'll just have to pay $15 for it.
Well, here's my thing. Here's Nathan's Law. You ready for this? When people say, "Oh, I'm not going to play it," blah, blah, blah. You know how people on the internet are. Like, you make things easier for people, they complain more. That's what it is. No one ever went on the internet to share how joyous they are. And if they are, it's usually accompanied by like cat videos. But I'll tell you this. Here's the thing. If you don't like the fact there's no campaign, play something else. Do something else. Watch something else. You have a life. Like, if your life is dictated by the campaign on Call of Duty, you don't really have much of a life. Like, read a book. Watch Game of Thrones again. Just do something else.
But as the media, is that not our job to get worked up over things that other people go, eh?
I got to tell you something. I would have told you that 2 years ago, true. But the media's focus, much like the campaigns in Call of Duty, the media's focus has changed from de-escalation to fervent escalation. Like you saw with the announcement of Battlefield, like you see these horrific websites and blogs just go ahead and cherry pick for maximum outrage. Look, the omission of the campaign in Call of Duty does not rise to the level of outrage. It's annoying, true. Disappointing, sure. But if you're planning your life around getting the full maximum content for your $59 plus tax, or I suppose if you buy it on Amazon Prime, it'll be like $45.
I might have to check who you hang out with, because that gentleman who does the numbers for for game sales,
Matt.
Matt. It sounds like he's really getting into your head, saying, where's the data, and that's something I just can't condone as a journalist.
Well, if you're welcome to go back and listen, we interviewed him back in.
And Nathan, actually, hold your thought. We'll come right back. Music means we're gonna take a break. We're already at the half-hour break. Hey, folks, we'll get to more than 2 stories, we promise. Everyone, we'll be right back. More Popzara, Nathan Evans, and more Computer America right after this. Everyone, stay tuned.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And so far we have covered one topic here on the program with Nathan Evans. And hey,
but what a topic!
Yeah, but it's been a lot of fun. And honestly, I think Fortnite deserves its own complete episode just because of how how popular it has become. And like you said, it is a plague upon our schools of today. And if you want to talk about lost productivity, well, hey, Fortnite probably costs more than $300 million.
You know what's funny though? I'll tell you what, Fortnite does have a component that teaches people how to be architectural, right? And use strategy. And they should be using some of this stuff. Like what a golden opportunity.
They said the same thing about Minecraft. Honestly, they did. Yeah,
they did. And you know what's funny? Minecraft is another one of those things where I believe it's this week. If I'm wrong, you can hunt me down. This week or last week, where it finally went multi-platform you can cross-play every version except your Sony version. So there you go.
Yeah, no, it's and hey, that's another part that makes Fortnite so attractive. And then we'll get off the topic is that it has true cross-platform compatibility. I've seen Xbox play with PC. I don't think I've ever seen Xbox play with PlayStation, but I know that PlayStation plays with PC or PlayStation Mobile. It's kind of cool.
They don't. Yeah, Sony and Microsoft has some longstanding beef, but I do think it's interesting that Microsoft continues to cozy up to Nintendo, and I do think it's interesting like Steam or Valve continues to cozy up with both, especially Nintendo. Although I didn't send you this story, but I read this morning, and I don't think it bears much more than just mentioning. Mm-hmm. I was looking forward to Valve's app on the App Store for iOS and Apple TV that would allow you to play Steam on your Apple TV and iOS. Supposed to come out this week.
Yeah.
It came out this morning. Apple denied it. Like originally they approved, like this was going to be a big rollout. Like you could use your Apple TV as a replacement to the Steam link. So you could literally play your PC on your Apple TV or your iOS. And Apple said no for some competitive reason. So I don't know much more about it, but so apparently there is another snob out there.
Right.
Thanks, Apple.
Yeah, but those walls are certainly coming down. If Fortnite, if Fortnite has any lasting impact, I hope it's that one. It's that the ease of which you can actually play cross-platform. I hope that comes to a lot more games. The idea, the graphics, all that can go away, but the idea that people just want to play with their friends, that needs to stick around. So,
yes, as we like to say, Ben, in the business, games as service. So we'll see what happens.
Right, yeah. So, all right, so there's that. Let's go ahead and swap topics now. Let's go ahead and, well, this is huge news. It happened the other day, and we, like, even in my household, we had a lively debate where, where actually my mom was like, hey, Ben, why are people surprised that people are being recorded when they put a microphone in the central location of their home? And I didn't have a very good answer for that. So let's talk about this one. And for anyone out there who lives under a rock, Amazon accidentally, they say, through the course of a conversation they were having, I believe it was about hardwood floors or something, they said enough keywords that made it so that they were recorded and sent off to a contact on the owner's list. And all this happened unbeknownst to the people being recorded and who owned the Alexa. So obviously there's a couple flaws there. And Nathan, why?
Well, first of all, I think if we should clarify that according to the story, Amazon admitted it happened.
Yes.
So it's not, this isn't rumored. So let's just get that out of the way. First of all, I think you're exactly right. When people go ahead and they put microphones that are designed to listen and designed to record you, and like I know the Amazon Alexa microphones are particularly, I think they're omnidirectional.
Yep.
And they're very, very, very high quality stuff. And so that you put these microphones in every room and you are shocked when they gasp record you. Okay, first of all, you're not entitled to be surprised. But I will say this, for those who don't know, when you trigger the Amazon Alexa, it doesn't just listen, it records you. And a copy of every recording is kept with Amazon servers. And you can go on the website and you can listen to every little command you've ever given. There's a copy of it and you can't delete it. It's there. And this has become consternation for local law enforcement who have tried, I don't know if it's successful or not, they've attempted to subpoena Amazon servers to get this data. And so
there's some pushback. The most notable one that it actually worked, I believe, was a murder in Australia where a gentleman used his Alexa voice recording to, as his alibi for not being there to commit a murder. And hey, it actually worked. So law enforcement and Amazon have worked together before.
And I believe what we just mentioned a few minutes ago that Amazon is selling facial recognition technology.
Yes.
They're going to supply it to the police.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I'm not a Luddite. I like technology. I use Siri all the time. The fact that Apple is not a leader in this market is baffling to me, but I guess whatever. But I'll tell you this, though. I sent you two stories. I sent you this story about the spying, and I also sent you a story about Google outselling, like the Google Homes outselling. And there's a reason for that I want to get into. They're tied. The Google started outselling the Amazon things for a couple of reasons. One, Amazon has saturated the market, and because they're notorious about they don't really give estimates on what they sell for stock reasons.
Yeah.
The result of the Google surge has been the introduction of the Google Home Mini and and the growing partnership with Walmart, where they would essentially just give you Google Home Minis if you if you combined your account. Google and Walmart are going to be akin to Amazon and Best Buy or Amazon and Whole Foods or whatever. So that results in there. But the Google Home Mini shipped with a flaw. And the flaw is that it would record every damn thing you said. And so Google had to issue a software patch to disable, because the things were basically spy machines. They were recording everything.
They disabled the, let's see, they disabled, I think, like the touch top, like indefinitely. Like they never turned them back on for a set number of devices, like the ones after they produced and fixed the bug. But the ones that were bugging out, they lost a key part of their functionality and to never receive it again. Right. So they were flawed.
Exactly. Like the Abrahamic religions of the Middle East, all this stuff springs from a well source from about 2010. Again, if you look at 2010 above, you start having the introduction of not Cortana, or whatever the Xbox originally had before it was Cortana, voice activation. Then you had Siri.
Kinect.
Yeah, Connect. And then you had Siri, then you had Cortana, and you have all these things coming at such a fast pace. And before the technology has even, come out of the oven, baked, you're having it in so many, a myriad of devices like Nest control units. Every laptop has it. Every phone has it. All this stuff. The technology isn't anywhere close to being ready, not even remotely close. And the fact is, it's all server-based. The idea is that Alexa or Siri or Google Assistant or Bixby, whatever Samsung's is, Cortana. I'm sorry, nobody uses Cortana. But the
nobody
fact
uses
is, it's
Bixby.
Yeah, nobody uses Bixby. But Bixby isn't in 400 billion machines. They have
Well, and I think where you're getting at is because if this was actually local, like if you thought that this wasn't being beamed up to the cloud like some kind of weird alien, no, like then your smart speakers would be shipped with multi-terabyte hard drives. It's just it's just not possible to do this locally.
Exactly. But on the other hand is that the Silicon Valley companies are a relatively handful of concentrated power, where you have, again, every Apple phone has this built in. Most Android phones have it built in. Then you have optional devices like Alexa and Google Home Mini. But the problem is, because 4 companies run all of this, they've essentially infiltrated every aspect of your life with spy machines. And every day you hear about devices being hacked. Every day you hear about device data being stolen. Every single day you hear about this stuff. But yet it's so amazing to me, Ben, that think back in a long time ago to 2008.
Whoa.
And I know. Remember the movie The Dark Knight?
No, yeah,
where Batman was going to use people's cell phones as listening devices.
And then he did.
And then he did. And it so ticked off Alfred that he walked away. Like, Alfred represents old society. What Batman was doing, Batman was saying, I can use these devices. And this was before Siri. It's 1,000 times worse. 1,000 times worse. Anybody who's ever butt dialed someone on accident and broken up with their girlfriend will tell you that sucks. But I'll tell you what, though. Now that you put these devices, and these devices are to control your house, control your temperature, control your cameras, control your grocery list, push a button. It's insane to me. It's insane to me that there's not more pushback on this. And I got to tell you something. I remember showing an Alexa device to someone. I think it was an what was it? It was the what do you call it? The Kindle HD10.
Okay.
Which was the first Amazon tablet to have Alexa built-in wireless. The first thing, right? First device, and it worked really well. And we tested. We put that thing under laundry in bureaus and shout across the room. It was go ding ding. It was really accurate. It was scary. But I showed the person at Best Buy how it recorded you, and they couldn't believe it. They didn't understand that everything they ever said was recorded and stored in a server. And
but this is the argument, or not really the argument, because you don't really have an argument for being recorded all the time. It's the same idea that Google used to do with their Gmail account, and that they still do with web pages, and they still do and Facebook still does with every conversation you've ever had that ever goes near a Facebook account. And it's that they crawl everything and they analyze everything. So for Amazon, they don't just record you. Like that's the thing. And they may access them here and there for law enforcement, or they may access them kind of as a need to know basis. But they also allow their machine learning algorithms to analyze everyone's voice and what you're saying, how you say it, what inflection, what tone, what's your next question. They analyze that. You are giving them data, just like Facebook and got in trouble for a couple of months ago. You're giving people data, and you don't really know the value of what you're giving up.
Well, you see, that's the part that really confuses me, right? It doesn't confuse me because I don't understand it. It confuses me because I understand it all too well. And the fact of the matter is that every single person you've ever met in your life does not read UELs. Nobody reads them. Somebody will say they read them.
And the user license agreement, everyone.
Yes. Someone will say they read them, but that's like your friend who claims to have read Moby Dick. Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't get you chicks anymore, But the fact of the matter is that nobody reads these things, and they grant untold permissions. And somehow there has never been a legal challenge to this.
There has, though. It's very recent, though.
No. a legal challenge to the idea that a contract only works one way. For example, when Sony was hacked a few years ago and all the credit cards were stolen and people that I know and care about had their accounts drained, right? They updated their UEL to say, well, if we get hacked again, you can't sue us. Well, there should be no exemptions on stupidity for failing to protect your data. Almost every major tech company on this planet, sans Apple, has been hacked because of these loosey-goosey things where they hire contractors. They don't treat your proprietary information with any type of dignity whatsoever. And instead of actually slowing down to say maybe we shouldn't be doing this, we go full speed ahead. And I'll tell you why it confuses me. And this is my final thought,
Sure.
because I will get off on a rant. But the fact of the matter is, everyone's got their panties in a bunch because, oh, Facebook did this and Facebook did that. Facebook didn't do anything illegal. What Facebook and Cambridge Analytica really did is they maximized the usage of the data in a way that might be scurrilous and it may seem unseemly. But when you clicked on accept, you've allowed them to share that data. What you didn't allow them to share your webcam, true. You didn't allow them to share your microphone, true. But the data that you opted to trade, like Fortnite, you've opted to trade your data in exchange for a service, has been used for the very purposes that you've opted into. So you have no right to complain about it. You're mad about it now. I get it. I mean, we've all done the walk of shame. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. But the fact of the matter is, you did it. We're only accelerating it. We're doing it worse. And when you take something like Alexa or Cortana or a Siri or whatever, nobody's innocent, and you're putting cameras in your house and microphones in your house that can record you, that's what people should be mad about, because we don't know what's happening with this stuff. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I got to tell you, I don't trust any of this crap. None of it.
If conspiracy theorists were actually hitting the nail on the head, I feel like we would see this coming a lot sooner. But I will say that the only thing I want to mention about Facebook and Cambridge Analytica was that there was clearly a problem. It's just we learned about the problem in 2018 when what actually happened was already fixed in 2014. With permissions and, allowing data to flow that wasn't supposed to. My big thing about the whole Facebook Cambridge Analytica thing was that we were upset that Cambridge Analytica was able to suck up, 5% of the data instead of 2% of the data like they were supposed to. And yet no one sat back, or at least finally people sat back and said, well, what about Facebook? They're getting 100% of the data, and we're upset with the company that accidentally got 5 instead of 2.
That's the thing, though. Ben. And I don't want to turn it into the big P word, but the fact of the matter is that the only reason people got their proverbial panties bunched and clenched, it's because of connections to a political ideology they don't appreciate. The thing about it is that we've politicized everything in this country to the point where if we agree with someone politically, we will allow them to take advantage of us. If we disagree with someone politically, then we're going to get really consternated. That's a very unhealthy way of looking at it. And every single day you see a story about some tech company taking sides. And the idea that a company like Twitter with a massive reach, or a company like Facebook or Google or Apple can flick a switch and deny people or accelerate rights or promote ideas or banish ideas. Just in Europe, for example, they don't have the same type of protections we do. In Europe, Google instituted policies where they were going to ban certain types of political ads right before an election. Now, to me, that's gerrymandering. That's complete gerrymandering. You don't do this. You have a consistent policy of which you can base a business plan off of. I don't like the idea that Google can deny you services for some Byzantine reason where they're not obligated to tell you. How can you base a business off that?
Okay. Just real quick, let's because we have like 10 minutes left. Let's go ahead and branch this off into actually a relevant topic, and that is Facebook and Twitter have new rules for political ads. So
there we go.
Not talking about the content of the ads, and again, politics are politics, but at least the disclosure. What do you think about them actually having to disclose and clearly label political ads?
No, I think that's the solution. I think the solution is more information, not less. I'm a grown-up, right? When I was growing up, I didn't have to see a trigger warning in front of a book because there may be There may be content I didn't like. And I understand that we live in a society of mixed media. I just read a book the other day by someone named Christopher Moore, and the book took place in 1947. There was a trigger warning about how he was warning me that the language is going to be saucy. I would much rather have that warning. I would rather have that warning than self-censorship. You understand?
Right.
So when Google and Facebook talk about we're going to start meddling with hate speech, we're going to start meddling, we're going to trigger the algorithm. No, that doesn't work because you're human. You're going to make mistakes. And your natural bias is going to, guess what? Gasp, bias the results. It always does. It's been a mess. Label the things. Who's the newsfeed from? That's all you need to do. That's all Facebook needs to do. They need to present the information. They don't need to create the information. Same with Google, same with Facebook, same with Twitter. As long as things are labeled objectively, labeled realistically and clearly, as long as that's there, allow people to make their own mistakes. But don't feel you have to nanny them. Don't feel that way. It doesn't work. It always backfires. It always backfires. We are adults. What are they saying to us? We're too stupid to understand the difference between real news. I'm sorry. I'm very disappointed that a merman didn't mate with a unicorn in California. That ruined my weekend. But the fact of the matter is that as a thinking adult, as an 18-year-old adult who can vote, who can drink, who can buy cigarettes, who can get married, and who can probably start a business, I don't need you. I don't need you to tell me what's fake or not. Let me make my own choice. And so I would much rather have labeling than censorship any day of the week. Bring it on. And you know what? I think they'd be surprised at how well that would work. But again, I don't know if a company like Facebook would abdicate the power that comes with controlling 2.5 billion people. That's the problem.
They're not, looking to stop it.
Well, can I say one last thing about this? One last thing. Okay, when I see Zuckerberg up in the EU talking, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we made a mistake." Okay, well, what's your punishment? I'm sorry. What if Hitler just said, "You know what? I'm really sorry about that." Oh, we forgive you.
That's a bit of a loaded question to compare Zuckerberg to Hitler.
Is it? The fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, it's media manipulation. The idea that, for example, I don't mean Hitler because I'm comparing him to Hitler. I mean Hitler because Hitler's entire basis was about propaganda. Hitler hired Hollywood-style directors, and he created a propaganda to de-evilize his empire. With Facebook, if Facebook's going to go up there and say, "We're sorry for siphoning off your information," if Facebook's going to make a claim that we're sorry for violating the trust, well, what's the punishment? Now, the punishment shouldn't be censorship. I don't want especially the EU, because they're bat crazy over there. I don't want European values on an American company, sure, but I do want open transparency. I want people to be allowed to make their own choice and making their own decisions about the content they consume. And I don't think that Facebook is in a position to tell me what I should and should not be seeing. That's part of the trade-in. If I'm going to give them my information and they're going to analyze it and share it with advertisers, then the trade-off has to be they got to take it all. And they can't present a sanitized version to advertisers either, is what I'm saying. It's a very, very interesting slippery slope.
Part of what I'm seeing is kind of the problem here is that Facebook became a news source, and that happened just like with Amazon, just like with Google. They may sell the smart speakers, but now they have to be the custodians of our daily lives. They have to be the custodians of what we say in our home and what they do with that information that they are now privy to. I think that Facebook became a news source because they offered news, and here's the key part: people took it at face value. People trusted what they read on Facebook. Now Facebook has to come to terms with, all right, our tools are being used, good or evil, what have you. We have to find some way to monitor what we've created and people have endorsed. That's where this all comes into play, and it's hard. It's hard.
I agree with that analysis. I don't agree with the prescription. The idea that I agree with you that Facebook is a news organization and they monetize the exact same way a newspaper would monetize. A newspaper would monetize by taking advertisements, and by the way, most of the revenue from old paper newspapers came from classified ads. Did you know that? most of the advertising. And, one of the biggest detriments to the newspaper industry was Craigslist, things like that. But the fact of the matter is that if a newspaper presents something that's not true, it's not true because they will censor it because they're afraid of offending their user base, then I'm sure they're going to get angry letters from grandma in Idaho saying, I don't agree with this. But the fact of the matter is, truth is not subjective. Truth is not based on some prohibitive idea that my truth is better than your truth, or my reality is better than your reality. Although I'm sure some neuropsychological analysis would.
What is reality? I feel like we're one sentence away from what is reality.
But the advantage of Facebook over a newspaper is that it's not one thing. It's flexible. It's algorithmic, if that's the right word.
It's
the idea that I can create my own centers of being. I can create my own network. I can create my own web page, my own Facebook page. I can have my own followers. I can present that as it is, and that's what I choose to. It doesn't have to be one for all like a newspaper. And so,
Nathan, I really hate to do this, but we're quickly running out of time, and I wanted to get to at least one fun thing that doesn't get everyone bunched up, and that is Solo: A Star Wars Story. And if you didn't catch it, I don't think he was explicitly advertising for just the movie, but. No, I not, which I kind of wanted your opinion, but I will say that the only thing I know about it is that Donald Glover plays Lando Calrissian, and that's about it. So talk a bit about Solo Star Wars movie.
I can't tell you who the guy who plays the new Han Solo because he's part of that
either.
Because he's part of that new group of confusingly named white generic actors. Like Ansel Elgort, Heinrich. I'm not making this up, people. Go look at these people's names. You need to go to school to pronounce them. But, I mean, when I was a kid, my white actors were all named like Jeff Smith. And I shouldn't need a dictionary. But the fact of the matter is Solo opens today wide. Full disclosure, the Popzara site, we did have a review of it earlier this week. One of my editors did attend a Disney press screening. She really, really liked it. The general consensus is that it's a much more fun film than The Last Jedi, which wouldn't be hard. And it's probably not going to gross as much as Last Jedi. It's a troubled production. It's very famous. I encourage people to go read the story of it. But it sounds like the troubled production was righted, and what they've turned out is a very enjoyable heist movie that shows the genesis of the most famous scoundrel in the galaxy, Han Solo. Mm-hmm. People, again, reviews have been generally pretty good. It may be what the Star Wars franchise needs to rebuild some trust after the last actual saga episode. Right. I'm going to go see it. I'm going to go see it tonight. So
the only thing I did see was Deadpool 2. So
Did you see? I haven't seen it yet.
I did. And it's just like I mentioned this on the show before. It's like when people say, "Did you like Airplane?" and they go, "I love Airplane," and then you go, "Did you like Airplane 2?" and they went, It was more of Airplane, so it was okay. And it's that feeling where the first time's always special, and then the second time it's like,
You know what's funny about that movie?
What's that?
It was the first Deadpool was a labor of love by Ryan Reynolds, and I forget the director's name. Tim, what's his name? Goodness.
Yeah. They really shoved it down the producing company's throats, but it worked out really well.
Yeah, the first movie was a miracle of nature, and it exceeded all expectations, critically, box office, everything happened. And of course you're going to want to replicate that. Of course you are. And like you said, I like the analysis about Airplane 1 and 2. Airplane 1 is a masterpiece. It's one of the best movies ever made. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's very offensive. You'll be offended, but you'll laugh too hard to care. Airplane 2 it's got yucks. How's that? It's got some yucks.
It's more of what you expected from Airplane 1, and it's like, again, it's a decent sequel. And in Deadpool 2, I like Deadpool a lot, so I like Deadpool 2 a lot. I would definitely recommend it. But also, hey, next time you're on the show, though, we probably won't be talking movies at all because E3 will have happened, and we'll talk about E3. So
we are going to have to talk behind the scenes about how to power the show with some E3 stuff next month.
Of course, and and of course, everyone look forward to that. So Nathan, real quick, Popzara, what can people find there? What's new? What's interesting?
Well, except for a review for Solo. They think they can look forward to this long Memorial Day weekend. We have some new interviews with the director of a new indie film called E-Hero, which is a fictionalized account of esports and basically a Rocky story with computer gamers. Exactly the same as Rocky, apparently.
And they both defeat the Russians, right?
Good. By the way, can I just leave your listeners with one final thing, what they should be doing this weekend if they're not seeing Solo?
Hurry up.
And this goes for you, too. I want to point everyone to the YouTube Red series Cobra Kai. I want to let them know it's my favorite TV show of the year. Please watch Cobra Kai, but make sure you watch the original Karate Kid first, and then you will enjoy yourself.
I heard about Cobra Kai, so great words. And everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning into Computer America. We're out of time. Nathan, Popzara, thank you so much. Everyone, hey, catch you next time.
Bye-bye.